welcome everybody. I am so excited to be sharing this information with you. As I was putting this presentation together, I was just like, oh, this is exactly what women are needing, because I'm getting more and more people contacting me just feeling really lost as to what's happening with their body. You feel like you're putting in all this effort, you're doing all the right things, but not only are you noticing weight gain, but you're also just not feeling healthy, right? And that's something that we don't want to lose. And when we feel that slipping away, we kind of start panicking, like, what else can I do to make myself feel well? So the information that I'm going to be sharing today is something that you're not really going to get from your doctor, because they're not trained to give you this kind of lifestyle medicine. And you're not going to find it just from a quick Google search. You're just going to get general recommendations that honestly don't get you anywhere. So what I'm sharing with you today is exactly what is going on in your body, and then how that's impacting the way you feel, but more importantly, how we can fix it, and why you're not just a victim to hormones and some of the things that you've been thinking about your body. We can actually really change the way you look and feel. So maybe this is you. What most women are saying is, heck, I didn't really change anything, but I'm noticing weight gain. Seemingly overnight, my body is changing. I'm noticing a loss in strength. I've even tried making adjustments. I've tried exercising more. I've tried eating healthy. You're seeking out information. Maybe you've added in strength training or up to the cardio workouts, trying to burn more calories, but the scale will not move. And you're particularly noticing weight gain in that central region. So because you're putting in all this effort and you're making all these attempts to improve your health and lose weight, you kind of come to this conclusion like, well, maybe it's just my hormones that's the problem. And that's when we start asking our doctor questions or seeking out more information. And again, most people are feeling, okay, I'm seeing this weight gain or shifts in my body composition, and I don't like the way my clothes fit or the way my body feels. But worse, I just don't feel well. And a lot of people are like, yes, weight loss would be amazing. I want to lose weight and my body to look different. But more importantly, I'm noticing symptoms in how I feel that is more problematic and becoming a bigger priority for me. So things like brain fog and loss of concentration, mood swings, more anxiety. And a lot of people are going to their doctor and explaining this, so they're just getting put on anxiety medications, which isn't fixing the root cause. Low energy, maybe you're not sleeping as well, you're having more cravings, you're just feeling out of balance with your body. So something's off, maybe more bloating, digestive distress. But a lot of times these symptoms get blamed on hormones. And yes, that is a component of what's going on. But what I want to help open you up to today is that you have a ton of power to influence the extent to which you feel the symptoms from hormonal shifts that are natural. So hormonal shifts in our body are natural, especially as we get into perimenopause. There's fluctuations, which can really begin in your mid-30s. And perimenopause can last for around 10 years for some women. So even at like age 35, 36, 37, you might be noticing some of this. And then around age 40 is when it might really ramp up, between 40 and 45. But you have so much power to make shifts to control how these hormone fluctuations are affecting you. And that's the amazing thing that I'm excited to share with you today. So you don't have to rely on just going on medications or extreme diets to solve these problems. We can actually do a lot naturally, and it's probably bringing everything together in a way that is actually going to be effective is probably nothing that you've done before. So this is the progression of seeking help that I see a lot of women going through. So you kind of identify like, man, I'm noticing changes in my body, or I don't feel well. I want to do something about it. So you might initially try either old methods that worked for you. Okay, I used to just have to clean up my diet, add in some more exercise, cut out some things, and I noticed the scale go back down. That's not working anymore. So you might try one of the popular diets, and maybe some of you have done keto or Whole30, or you've done Weight Watchers, or counting or tracking calories, macros, maybe just trying to eat healthier in general. So you're going to one of these popular methods, and one of two things can happen at this point. It either works for a little while, maybe you lose a little bit of weight, maybe you feel a little bit better, but you might notice that it's not sustainable. So you kind of abandon ship, right? Or number two, maybe you're not seeing any results. So you're putting in all this effort, you're doing all these things, and nothing's changing. So then it's just like, well, what the heck is the point, right? So at this point, then you might go talk to your doctor. Like when you have your annual physical, it's like, hey, I've gained 12 pounds in the last year. What's going on? I don't feel good. I have more anxiety. My digestion's kind of a mess. And you're asking about, is it my hormones? So maybe they run some general labs for you. Maybe they test your hormones, and it may or may not come back with anything. It might come back that, your labs look pretty good. You might notice notice maybe a few vitamin levels are off or hormones maybe are slightly off. But a lot of times, especially in perimenopause, because of the constant fluctuations, it's not just like a steady, like stiff decline like we see after menopause. It can be really hard to tell if that's what's going on. So you might be asking about medications or supplements. And a lot of times women are getting put on birth control to balance your hormones, which doesn't really balance your hormones, but it might make you feel a little bit better. Some women at this point also might consider like a functional medicine doctor. You're like, I feel like I'm dying. Something's wrong with my body. I might need to talk to somebody. I want to get to the root cause. I don't just want to go on medications. And I am actually an integrative and functional medicine dietitian, which I'll talk about in a second. But I see a lot of women going down this path and kind of getting almost like overdiagnosed. So you go to a functional medicine doctor, you spend thousands of dollars on functional testing. They're going to run a Dutch hormone test, a GI map test, maybe an organic acids test, or some in-depth metabolics testing. And it's going to come back that you probably have some imbalances. So the treatment for that, for their standpoint, is usually supplements, lots of supplements. And again, that might make you feel a little bit better, but then women are coming to me and being like, yeah, I felt better, but I didn't really lose the weight. And maybe they put you on a cleanse or something, but they're not really giving you the nutrition guidelines, which is where the power is that you actually need, other than just general recommendations. Cut out sugar, cut out this, cut out that. It's not actually bringing it in together in a way that your body actually needs. So then you're still feeling like there's something wrong with you, okay? So at this point, you might retry another diet, or you might even consider a weight loss medication because you're like, hey, I've done everything. I'm following all the diet rules. Nothing's working for me. I don't think there's anything wrong. My body just doesn't want to lose weight. It's hormones. I need help. Okay. But I want to open up your eyes today. And if this is you, if you've ever been at any point in this cycle, maybe you're in this cycle right now, put a yes in the chat box. Like, yes, that is me. I've been there. I feel this cycle. I feel this frustration. Okay. But what I want to open you up to today is that there is ways to think about your body differently that are going to help you, give you the right tools to actually see change and feel better. So we're not in the business of just getting pounds off. We want your body to be first and foremost healthy and vibrant, and then a healthy body loses weight easily, okay? So we've created our programs after years and years of working with many, many women, and I wish I had pictures of all the women that we've worked with, but I only have some, but this is a snapshot of some of the people we've worked with and how they've been able to transform their bodies after years of dieting that did not work, after believing that weight loss was just not possible for them, after believing that because of hormones, I can't lose weight. But then they start to realize when they make the right shifts, that they can actually have a massive influence on their hormones and they can start to lose the weight. So I have been running my own private practice for nutrition counseling for over 10 years. Andy, my husband, who does the fitness programming, he's been working with clients, mostly women, for the last 22 years in person, understanding exactly what they need to transform their bodies. And what we've done is we've taken both of our methods and combined them in a way that is addressing the root causes of why you're gaining the weight and why you don't feel healthy. And then we are helping you make the right shifts that are not just a quick fix, but it's setting you up for life. And I've created this perimenopause diet because this is what women need, not just to get the weight off currently, but to help propel you into better health as you enter this next phase of your life. Because most of what we've been taught up to this point has been related to nutrition as a diet, right? You want to think about healthy eating. It's usually from a lens of losing weight, and you do XYZ things. And when you do that, you're going to get X pounds off. But what happens when that doesn't work anymore? We want to start changing the way we think about caring for our bodies. And I think that's what you're actually seeking, right? You're seeking health. I want to feel good. I want to feel healthy. I want to prevent disease. I want to be around for my family and kids. I got to perform at work and in life, and I want to be physically and mentally present. And that's what we want to help you accomplish, and really helping you believe in your body again and not feeling like your systems are broken and there's something completely wrong with you, but that you just haven't learned the right shifts to make. And honestly, not many people are teaching this. And that's why I have such a passion for helping women establish the right patterns so that you can live a vibrant life. Okay. So what we're doing here is so much more than a diet. I call it a diet because this is your diet, right? This is the way you should be eating. A diet is actually the way a species eats, a person eats. So what is your diet? We want to move out of the mindset. I want to challenge you to move out of the mindset that I'm having these issues because of my hormones. Weight loss is hard because of perimenopause. My perimenopause symptoms are the problem. It's this that is the reason I'm having these issues. Two, we're going to shift mindset. Two, I actually have the power to support my body in a way that changes the way my hormones are affecting me. Okay. It's going to minimize the effects of those hormonal shifts. And we're going to look at how this is possible. So we don't just want to end the diagnosis at, yep, you're in perimenopause, or even you're in menopause and that's why you're having these issues. Usually there's a baseline health that has not been optimized that is then making your symptoms that much worse. Okay. So perimenopause is only partially why you're gaining weight and feeling the way you feel. But once we learn the right shifts to make, you're going to notice that you actually have a lot of control to feel better and to lose weight, even when nothing else is working for you. So first, we're going to talk about 4 different things that I like to focus on, kind of understanding, why am I gaining weight? Where is it coming from? What's actually going on in my body? Why don't I feel good anymore? So number 1, and this is under talked about, like this is probably one of the number 1 things you can do for yourself. And this is loss of lean muscle mass. And if you've been in this space online, you've probably heard people talking about the importance of strength training. And I see a lot of women trying to add in more strength training, like maybe you've added in some Peloton strength workouts, or you know, joined some strength classes, or instead of doing, you know, all cardio, you're doing like half and half classes, or you're adding in some weight exercises or following somebody online. But unless you're really following a program that is transforming your body, you're probably not getting the full benefit of that. But this is extremely important. So every person, whether you're male or female, after age 30 is when we kind of start naturally seeing decreases in bone density and lean muscle mass, unless you're actively strength training and eating in a way that is allowing you to maintain it or gain it. Okay. However, for women, as you get into perimenopause and you start having these fluctuations in estrogen and eventually decreases in estrogen, your rate of lean mass loss is even faster than it would be for a man. And this is usually the time point that women notice a lot of weight gain. So there's associations between this 35 years old plus and more rapid loss of lean muscle mass. And what we actually see is that your weight gain is not so much associated with hormonal shifts as it is correlated with your loss of lean muscle mass. So this is huge. So what's happening to a lot of women in your 30s? You are maybe working a more sedentary job, maybe not strength training or exercising the way you had been. You're having children, a lot of you. So you lose a lot of strength. Even if you're exercising while you're pregnant, you lose a lot of strength if you're not, you know, really strength training. And that compounds with each pregnancy. So that is then propelling you into this period of even more rapid loss as you have drops in estrogen. So when you lose lean muscle mass, that's dropping your metabolism, and it's also affecting your insulin signaling. So then step 2, it's usually putting you in a place of insulin resistance as you gain fat and lose muscle, or as you gain fat and lose muscle. So you have more stress during this time in life, you've lost lean mass, you have these hormonal shifts, which are changing where your body stores fat. So as you can see in this picture I have here, there's 2 different people. One is depicting like some visceral fat and subcutaneous fat, and then the other one is a healthy body composition. So visceral fat is different than normal fat that you've gained previously. Visceral fat is what you probably have called belly fat, okay? It is the fat that is around our organs. It is different than the fat that you would gain on like the outside of your body. Subcutaneous fat is more impacted by like calories and energy balance, whereas visceral fat is more impacted by things like cortisol levels, your stress hormone, and insulin levels, which is your hormone that's released in response to carbohydrates. So when you just try to cut calories or exercise more, it's probably not really getting rid of that visceral fat, which is very frustrating, okay? But that is a pro-inflammatory fat, which is then causing a lot of other metabolic shifts in your body that are making it harder for you to lose weight and have proper hormone balance. So it's like this whole cascade of things that really begins with not having optimal body body composition and then entering this period of hormonal fluctuation. So a lot of women are dealing with insulin resistance and don't really even know it. And you might say, well, I went to my doctor, my glucose was fine, and my hemoglobin A1C was fine. I had labs done. That's not the problem. You can have insulin resistance and all your labs look normal because your insulin system is working, but it's working overtime to keep your blood sugar stabilized. So you have high insulin, and that is honestly keeping your body stuck in fat storage mode, and is specifically going to drive fat storage into that central region and make it almost impossible to lose. So everything with our intervention is going to be targeted at correcting these initial imbalances, correcting lean muscle mass, correcting insulin balance. So when we do that, we start being able to lose weight and feel better. The other one is going to be cortisol, and I'm going to talk about this more in a second, but this is your stress hormone. Some of you may have heard of this. This is hot on the internet right now, and people want you to just drink a magical cortisol cocktail and all your problems go away. Again, it's not the solution. It might help support those adrenal systems, and it might help give you some of the mineral replacement that you're needing, but ultimately that's just one small piece of the puzzle. But when we have elevated stress and cortisol, which is honestly made worse when you're not sleeping well and you have more anxiety and stuff because your diet's not optimized, that makes the cortisol system not function as optimally. That's going to drive low progesterone and testosterone. So some of you have maybe gone to the doctor and you've had labs done and it's like, yeah, your progesterone's low and your testosterone's low. That didn't just randomly happen. Yes, those decline in perimenopause and into menopause, but if they're abnormally low, it's usually because your cortisol and your insulin levels are elevated. Okay? And then the last one is going to be inflammation. So when you have inflammation, again, it's going to be driven by diet. It's going to be driven by body composition and specifically that visceral fat. So if you put on more of that belly fat, you're just in this chronic low-grade inflammatory state, which makes it really hard to lose weight too. If your body's inflamed, your body's always getting signals that there's danger and there's problems, okay? So when you have more inflammation, it's going to increase your appetite. It's going to slow your metabolism. It's going to affect your mind and how you might get more headaches. You might have poor energy or poor concentration. It can affect what's called leptin, which is a hormone that is signaling your hunger and fullness. So there's a lot of people that think, man, I just need to restrict my appetite so that I'm not wanting to eat as much. But we can correct that naturally. We can get rid of inflammation. We can correct your blood sugar balance. And then you naturally are not having the cravings and desire to constantly overeat and snack. Okay. And then we can also have our inflammation levels impacting our body's ability to use cortisol properly. So that's playing into that as well. So actually, when we correct our inflammation, that can help correct some of those cortisol patterns naturally. So these are all connected. And that's why just focusing on one thing or just adding in one tip and trick here and there typically doesn't work. And you spend your life trying to piece together different methods and you really don't get anywhere. Okay. So I want to show you this. This is one of my favorite pictures because I'm a science nerd, but all of your hormones, so I'm looking at the one that says cortisol still, all of your hormones begin, whether we're talking about stress hormones, adrenal hormones, or your sex hormones like testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone, all of them start with the same precursors. So it's basically like, here, pretend you have like several children, okay? Here's my money that I have, and I have to give it to whoever needs it for whatever things. Oh, you need it for your sports? I'm going to give you a bunch of this. Oh, you need it for new school stuff? Here, you're dosing out this money. But what happens when one child has like a massive need? You're going to have to shunt those resources to that immediate need, okay? And the other ones are going to be left with not as much because you only have so much available. And this is exactly what happens with your hormones. If your cortisol levels and your stress levels are always pumping, and you have, things that haven't been dealt with from a stress standpoint, your body is shunting all of its resources to that cortisol pathway. So then guess what happens? The other pathways shut down. You're not going to be producing progesterone as much. And so this is in addition to normal drops that are happening. You're going to have a further drop because of the stress. You're not going to be producing testosterone as well. And then the downstream effect is estradiol, which is like your active form of estrogen, which impacts a lot of things, including metabolism. That's going to be low as well. Or it might stay normal, but the other two are low, okay? So when you have more stress, you also have an increased demand for vitamins and minerals in your body. And that means, if you already had like a deficit, that's going to be felt even more. And then you're just not feeling well because your body needs vitamins and minerals to function. And then you also, there's an association between insulin resistance and elevated cortisol and some of these lower hormone levels. So when you go to the doctor and you get these tested, it's like, oh, my progesterone was low. I just need a cream and I'm done, right? But we're not actually addressing the root cause. The low progesterone is a symptom of other things. Yes, it's lower because of perimenopause, but there's can be reasons why it has been kept even lower and why you don't feel well. Okay. Then on the other side, I have about inflammation and why that's important to target. So you don't have to worry too much about this pathway, but what I want you to know is the chronic inflammation. And then right below it, it says hormonal dysfunction. So when you have chronic inflammation and your body is always upregulating, so again, this can be coming from certain things in your diet that your body's not jiving with, not digesting well, it's causing inflammation. It might also be from other just environmental toxins or things, or just that fat gain. When you have fat gains and visceral fat gains, that's creating a pro-inflammatory state in your body. That's going to drive hormonal dysfunction. So this is going to also lower testosterone, estrogens, and progesterone. So again, that's obviously going to affect how you feel. This also increases something called myostatin, which is going to inhibit muscle growth. So then you're exercising, but you're not seeing changes in your body because you're chronically inflamed. Okay, so then you get stuck in this cycle again of I'm doing all the things, but I'm not seeing progress. But really, you haven't corrected some of these root cause issues that we've discussed. Okay, so what is not really in your control? Why are you gaining weight? What is not really in your control? We can't help the fact that we're all women that are going to go through a transition called perimenopause, which is fluctuations that basically prepare us for menopause. And we can't change the fact that we're going through menopause. That's out of our control. However, you can control and minimize the effects of those hormonal fluctuations by getting back your lean muscle mass and shifting your body composition. So losing fat and gaining muscle when you do it in the correct way. Correcting insulin resistance, because insulin is a hormone. So when insulin is high, it's going to throw off other hormones, getting rid of those elevated stress hormones. And there's lots of strategies that we teach on how to do this. And also when your body's healthier, your stress response just becomes a lot better. You have less anxiety, you're feeling more calm, and that's going to make you more empowered by, in your daily life. And then getting inflammation down. So there's actually a lot you can do, which if you're a woman, you should be celebrating this, right? Because you're like, okay, I'm not just a victim like everybody wants me to think that I am, or you're just told, like we have one client, Shannon, who said, you're just told that you're going to feel this way in perimenopause. You're just told that you're going to sleep bad and gain weight and have brain fog. But I'm realizing that doesn't have to be the case. I'm realizing that I can feel differently now that I do feel differently, now that I've been adopting a different method, and I feel like more empowered to care for my body. And that's ultimately what we want. So one of the questions that I get a lot is, do I need to get my labs checked? Like, should I run labs or get hormones checked? And I think it's always a good idea, especially if you just have an appointment, to get baseline labs done, to ask your doctor to run some more specific labs. These are ones that I think are good to ask for, even just to get a baseline. You might get some pushback if you're not super symptomatic or have a history. They might not want to run some of these just from an insurance standpoint, but you can get any of these tests ordered. I order these for some of my clients if their doctors aren't willing to do it. But things like B12 and vitamin D, again, if you come back with low vitamin D, that's not the reason that you have all these symptoms and can't lose weight. A lot of these don't impact weight, but they might impact how you feel. If you have a lot of low energy or anxiety, getting a full iron panel is not a bad idea, particularly a ferritin level. I always like to see that. And then we need to dose your iron foods and supplements appropriately, not just ferrous sulfate that your doctor tends to give you is not extremely effective. You want to get a full thyroid panel. Again, just as a baseline, I think that's good because stress and inflammation can absolutely be impacting your thyroid function. And once we improve those things, a lot of times the thyroid issues kind of start clearing up a little bit. A lipid panel, particularly with HDL and triglycerides, because triglycerides will give us a snapshot of whether you're dealing with insulin resistance or not. If you can get a fasting insulin and check your glucose panel, that's good. A lot of doctors might not run fasting insulin, but it's good information. C-reactive protein, DHA, and then if you want to get your hormones tested, you can, but again, it may or may not really show anything. But a lot of times we go to the doctor, we ask for these labs, and then we are given like a medication or something to fix it. But I more so just want to take this as baseline information, and what I have on the Other side, it's like get your baseline labs. Then we do an intervention where we actually are correcting the drivers of imbalances that I just went over. We're shifting body composition, losing fat, gaining lean mass. We're reducing inflammation. We're reducing cortisol levels. We're balancing blood sugar and reducing insulin. And then we can retest and see if a lot of those things have been improved. Okay. So I mentioned this at the beginning, but I see a lot of women getting sucked into the extreme over testing. Like, okay, I feel this way. I haven't really done an intervention like I'm talking about. Maybe you just tried to exercise and eat healthier, not anything standardized. So then you go to a functional medicine doctor and they run extremely extensive panels on you, and then they just want to give you supplements. And it's like, well, really, we need to be first optimizing diet and nutrient intake from your diet, getting the inflammation down and lowering insulin. And then it's, I think, really appropriate to get a better idea once you've lost weight and shifted body comp. That gives you a better picture of, okay, now what are my hormones doing? And do I need medication or support after I've done all of the actual things? Okay. So that's more the way I like to think about it. We can use hormone replacement as a tool, but a lot of women are getting put on it before they've actually made the correct shifts that I'm talking about. Okay, so just a quick recap, why you don't have energy, why you can't lose weight, why you have a lot of symptoms that you would maybe label as being hormonal. One, low vitamin mineral intake, and this happens when you're just trying to eat healthy or eat low calorie or track macros, and you're not really knowing what foods you should be adding in. As you go through perimenopause and into menopause, you do have an increased need for certain vitamins and minerals, but then if you're dropping your calories and restricting food and not eating the right foods and optimizing nutrients, you're now putting yourself in an even greater deficiency, which drives cravings for things like sugar and snack foods and makes your blood sugar not feel so good. So we want to optimize nutrition as we're also thinking about shifting how we're eating calories and macros and things. Blood sugar instability and high insulin. Your meal patterning is typically off if we're just looking at total intake for the day and not really focusing on how you're structuring your day. That can impact your blood sugar and then how you feel and your hormone balance. Body composition is a big one. So body composition being percent of lean mass versus percent of fat mass. Some women are like, maybe I've only gained a couple pounds, but I feel like my body has really changed. Like I've lost strength and gained fat. And that's not going to be reflected on the scale so much as it is in just the way you feel and the way your clothes fit. And then inflammation. Okay. So these are the different things that we want to look at to actually optimize your health. So rather than thinking, are my hormones to blame? It's more asking the question, like, what can I do to naturally balance my hormones and optimize my body so that I'm not feeling these effects as dramatically? So one of the things, again, is strength training. And I want to dive into this a little bit more because I do hear a lot of women say, I'm already adding in weights, or I'm walking more, or I'm doing Pilates. I'm doing things that everyone says should be helping me, but it's not really helping. And again, as you have a drop in estrogen, you're losing that lean tissue. So the phrase I like to say, it's like you need to fight for your lean mass during this phase. And this can make a massive difference because what it's actually going to do when you start gaining that lean mass back, it's healing your insulin system so that system starts repairing. Again, you're fighting against hormonal shifts. You have to repair some of these systems, and then it's increasing your metabolism. So just at rest, I'm burning more energy when I have higher lean muscle mass. But if you just kind of are maintaining or even losing, even though you're exercising, you're not really shifting body composition in the way that you want. And then, of course, your diet has to be adequate in protein and low insulin so that you can burn fat and gain lean mass. So I see a lot of women doing strength training, but not the right diet, or vice versa. They're trying to eat well, but they're not strength training. And that's just kind of setting you up for failure. One of the biggest things women complain about is weight fluctuations. So when your weight is fluctuating often, you're gaining and losing the same 5 or 10 pounds, or really it's not moving maybe anymore. That's usually related to the fact that you don't have the proper body composition. One of the powers of gaining back your lean muscle mass is you're going to see the drop in weight steadily over time as you lose fat and gain muscle, but you're not going to see it going up and down. And a lot of women who do our program are very surprised by this because they're so used to the scale fluctuating 4 to 6 pounds all the time, and they think that's just who they are. It has to do with your fluid balance, and it means, your insulin is out of whack and your body composition is not what we want. So what we recommend is 3 full body strength training days per week, where you're putting progressive overload on your muscle, not just doing 20-minute body burns or an upper body one day, lower body another day, maybe a core circuit here and there, but it's a very intentional program. And this is exactly what we do. And it's extremely effective at shifting body composition in women because it incorporates everything you need. So a lot of women are trying to piece together their own programs and, oh, I got to add this in. Oh, maybe I should do some HIIT. Oh, maybe I should do more strength. And it's just very haphazardly put together. But there actually is a lot of intention behind strength training that is important if you are in this phase of life. So that's exactly what we help you kind of transition through. Okay. Oops, my slide is kind of messed up. All right. So the perimenopause diet, which is what we help you with, is helping you realize that I'm not doomed because of hormones, but it's helping me take action to offset some of these hormone shifts. And the things I have listed here are things that we want to help you learn. I want you to learn just how to eat. I don't want you to learn another quick fix or temporary restriction where it's like, I have to have willpower just to get through this. I want you to learn how to still have freedom in your food choices where you're not feeling like I'm hungry and starving and deprived and low energy just to make it through the day, or I had a good eating day. But it's really about learning what my body actually needs to be healthy. And I want to do that. I want to feel good and I want to do that consistently. And when we do it in the right way, it doesn't have to feel restrictive or something that is unsustainable. It can actually be really easy. And that's some of this lifestyle practicality stuff that's often not taught with nutrition, that this is actually very doable in our, even in our busy schedules and our busy lives. So increasing lean mass, losing fat, balancing blood sugar, lowering insulin, reducing inflammation, stress, optimizing vitamin mineral intake, and then increasing protein, fiber, and anti-inflammatory foods. My plan, the perimenopause diet and the core method that I'm going to talk to you about, brings all of these things together. So in our perimenopause diet is the core framework. And this is kind of what I teach to women to help them really fill in the gaps that most things that you've been doing are not covering. So there's 4 components: consistency, optimizing food choice, your ratios, which are your calories and macros, and then eating balanced meals. Most diets are only focused on 1 or 2 of these pieces of the core method, which is why you're not seeing progress. So when we're talking about not just getting pounds off, but really also feeling better and optimizing our health and setting us up with a body that is going to last and be strong and vibrant for years to come, we can't just focus on one component of this, okay? So when we look at certain diets, I kind of have some examples listed here of how they would be categorized. Something like intermittent fasting would be categorized under just focusing on meal patterning, right? Intermittent fasting is just like restricting when you're eating and time restricted eating, or even macros where it's like, okay, get a carb, a fat, a protein at each meal and like balance your meal. Some macro plans teach that. But then ratios is very heavy, where what you've probably experienced in the diet industry, where we're looking at how many calories are you eating a day, how many grams of protein. I have a lot of women who are like, well, I'm already optimizing my protein. I'm getting X 120 grams a day or 130 grams a day, but you're not losing weight because some of these other things have not been optimized. You haven't optimized your food choice. You probably still have inflammation. You might be doing it in a way that's out of balance. And it's not giving your body what it actually needs to function well. And then the O is optimizing food choice. So things like Whole30, a paleo or autoimmune paleo diet, anti-inflammatory diet, Mediterranean diet, that gets thrown around a lot from your doctor. Don't just do the Mediterranean diet. These are basically just guidelines on cleaning up your diet and having healthier food choice, maybe anti-inflammatory. But I see a lot of people doing this kind of thing where they're like, I already eat healthy. You're making healthy food choices, but it's out of balance. You haven't structured your day properly. Your blood sugar is still not balanced. And it might not be the right foods for your particular body, okay? So there's a lot of factors that we want to consider. And once we actually establish how to eat properly throughout the day, we optimize our food choice, then we can look at where are we landing with our calories and our protein, and we can make adjustments at that point. But once you learn our framework, usually you kind of land where you need to land with calories, and you don't have to be tied to just like tracking. Tracking can be helpful, but our goal is that you don't have to track and be so diligent about those things forever. You just learn how to feed your body right. And then of course we want to do this consistently, right? So helping you realize I can still maintain this like even on the weekends because I'm not feeling so hungry and deprived all week, even when I'm on vacation. Our clients are blown away that they can go on like a week-long trip and they're, maybe still getting some level of activity in, and they're maintaining mostly our framework and concepts. And they're like, I didn't gain weight on vacation. Heck, I even lost a pound. And they're just shocked because that's never happened. Usually you go on vacation and gain 5 pounds. But why? Because they maintained the heart of our program and were able to still enjoy themselves, have some flexibility in their diet, but they understood the balance and how to establish consistency. And that's super powerful. Getting out of that diet mentality where it's this all or nothing principle that I have to punish my body to lose weight. You don't. You can actually feel really good and feel full and satisfied. But a lot of these products I have listed here are the reason that a lot of women are still struggling. Calorie and macro counting has been king for so long. We're trained to look at a package and, oh, this is only 150 calories. This is only 200 calories. This is a good choice. Or it has X grams of protein. The marketing loves to use that as a hook for people to buy their products. But the problem with this stuff is, one, it's highly processed. It's probably still impacting your insulin system. Two, it's lacking the nutritional value your body actually needs to be healthy. So sure, it might check a box on counting, but it's not actually nourishing you in the way that your hormones need to function well and that your cells need to function well. And if you're not doing that, you're not going to lose weight as easily and you're not going to feel as good as you possibly can. So just eating more grams of protein is not the solution. That is all over the internet. And one other caveat I want to mention, a lot of people on the internet love to give recommendations on what they are personally eating. There's a big difference between someone who is already a healthy body composition, already has high lean mass, already has low fat mass, is already in great shape and healthy, than someone who's actually trying to lose weight and correct hormone balance. So you can't take advice from people who are already in the place that you are trying to go. There's like a therapeutic phase that you kind of have to go through in order to get there. And you won't get there by eating the way they are currently eating. And that's a big thing to note that, when I look at helping people, it's like we got to go through a little bit of a rebalancing phase, optimizing nutrition, helping you from a kind of a therapeutic standpoint before you can move into like a semi-maintenance or long-term maintenance phase in terms of your diet. So it's just kind of a caveat why you can see some people promoting eat whatever you want and still lose weight. And you're like, that doesn't work for me. That's why. Blood sugar. So I want to just touch really quickly on insulin because this is one of the most powerful things that you have to help with fat loss. And one of the reasons, like even women who are like, I'm doing all the things, usually the insulin system is the thing that's holding them back. Again, as you have drops in estrogen, your sensitivity to this hormone starts to decrease. As you lose lean muscle mass, your sensitivity to this hormone decreases. When our sensitivity decreases, our body has to pump out more to get it to work. Okay. So again, you can have normal glucose labs, but your insulin can still be out of whack or elevated. But this is one of the big reasons women have more anxiety and mood swings. And again, we blame that just on hormones, but a lot of it is actually just blood sugar imbalance. And I can't tell you the number of women. I could give you so many examples of women who are like, the number one thing they say after even just a couple weeks on our program is, I feel better. I have less anxiety. I feel more in control of my emotions. They're lowering their dosage of anxiety medication or getting off of it altogether, or not having to go on it when they thought that that was going to be their only option. We're correcting the root cause here. So when you eat, and this is independent of calories, I'm just talking about types of food, but I put the calories on here to kind of show you the calories are not the main focus here. It's about how it's impacting your blood sugar. So if you eat like 100 calories or just, a couple bites of something that's really sugary and it's 100 calories, it is digested very quickly because it's processed and it is a high glucose content. So it's going to spike your blood sugar more rapidly because it doesn't have the fiber and the protein. How we consume our meals also matters. So a lot of people who are eating just little bits during the day are just constantly in this blood sugar imbalance because you're trying to restrict without letting yourself eat good meals. But you're going to get a rise in your blood sugar. Your body releases the hormone insulin to get your blood sugar back into normal range. When you have a little bit of insulin resistance, that's why I have the red line going up higher than the arrow. Your body actually has to release more insulin to get it to work. But that massive glucose rush in your body leads to a crash. And that's what we usually characterize as like brain fog or afternoon fatigue a couple of hours after you have lunch, or you're feeling like you're needing snacks in the afternoon. I'm craving sugar either in the evening or in the afternoon. I'm having mood swings. I'm then having poor sleep at night because blood sugar imbalances through the day lead to blood sugar imbalances overnight. And you can drop into like a low blood sugar state because you've been so out of balance throughout the day. And that wakes you up because at 3 a.m., because your body is then having a stress response and your cortisol spikes and says like, we're dying. We have low blood sugar. And then you can't go back to sleep because now your mind is going. Okay. And again, we say, oh, that's hormones. It is hormones, but it's more related to your insulin and cortisol patterns than it is just estrogens and testosterones. Okay. So this can be corrected, which is amazing. We can correct this with our diet and learning to eat in the correct way. So I have another example over here of 100 calories from things like vegetables. And a lot of people don't realize, but non-starchy vegetables are carbohydrates, just like cookies are. They're all carbohydrates. But the way, so if you're counting macros, you're going to say, oh, this, fits my macros, this donut or this cookies, and it counts in my carbs, and I'm still eating low carb. I don't know why I'm not losing weight, because it's still impacting your insulin. But when we shift our carbohydrates to things that do not have a large impact on our blood sugar, so you can eat a lot of broccoli for 100 calories, one, it's going to fill you up, but it's going to digest very slowly because it's in a complex structure of carbohydrate. It takes a while to break that down. So it's like a slow glucose release. So what does that do? Instead of like a jolt of energy and a crash, it gives you really sustained energy to feel really good all day. So when we pair these slow digesting carbohydrates with protein, this is what brings your insulin levels down, slow digestion, and it gives you sustained energy, and you're not living in this blood sugar imbalance. And then what happens when we bring insulin down? Insulin is your fat storage hormone. It's keeping you stuck in fat storage. It's preventing you from burning that visceral fat that you've gained, that belly fat. That's why it won't go away no matter how much you feel like you're restricting. We have to free our body up to start burning this. And once you do that, you get that sustained blood sugar, then you start being able to see changes on the scale and you feel a lot better. So it's a bonus. Okay. So we're not just forcing pounds off. We're doing it in a way where it's like, oh, I actually am eating a ton and I feel really full and satisfied, but I'm getting my insulin levels down. So I'll just briefly touch on this. This is part of the framework that I teach to my clients. And this is the eat balanced meals. The E of the core method is actually where we start. And I've had clients say to me, like, we're not getting a calorie number and a macro number right off the bat. Like, I think you're crazy, right? But guess what happens within the first couple of weeks? You already start losing weight and feeling better and having more energy, okay, and mental clarity, because we're balancing your body in the way that needs to be balanced. Your body wants to heal. Your body will heal. It just needs the right inputs, okay? And you don't have to fight it. So meal patterning, looking at like breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, not eating at the crack of dawn, like 6 a.m., but trying to eat a breakfast at some point in the morning where it's high protein, and you're starting with a lot of nutrient dense foods. A big mistake that most women are making is light loading the front part of their day and heavy loading in calories the second half of their day. So you're eating like some Greek yogurt and granola, or a couple eggs for breakfast, or maybe nothing, and then a light lunch, and then you're starving and you think you have addictions to sugar, but your body's just hungry. Okay. You haven't nourished it properly. So the goal is to take this balanced plate structure, which is really two things: protein and vegetables, non-starchy vegetables at every meal, ideally. Optional starch for those who have like heavier insulin resistance and more like stubborn fat, limiting that as much as possible, but really loading up on the veggies and protein and applying that balance evenly to each meal so that we're getting sustained energy and sustained blood sugar throughout the day. Super important to feeling healthy again and to getting your hormones back in balance. So then we correct the insulin balance and we start feeling good. Okay, so that's kind of looking at the different components. And then the last component is shifting body composition. So our Fit from Home program is really the optimal way to see shifts in your body composition, particularly in perimenopause, and if you've noticed changes in your body for trying to lose weight. So you don't just need workouts. A lot of times we think a workout is a workout. I've had women say to me when I mention strength training, they're like, oh, well, how hard can it be? You just do some of this and some of this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're not going to see any progress if that's all you're doing, right? Strength training is extremely powerful. I got to experience this for myself firsthand at two different points in my life. The first one was when I was spending a lot of my time eating healthy and doing tons of cardio, and I was at my heaviest weight ever. I was probably 10 or 15 pounds more than I am now. And I felt horrible. I was like, what's wrong with my body? My periods were a mess. They were super heavy. I didn't feel good. And this was around the time that Andy and I met. And he was like, why don't you come do my strength training classes? Because he was training at the time when I met him, he owned a gym. And I started doing that. And just making that shift alone helped me start seeing changes in my body. And then I did that for several years. But when I had my kids, my first kid, it was like easy to work out. But then when I had my second kid, it was like, okay, I'm kind of riding the body that I used to have, but I'm noticing it doesn't look or feel the same way that it used to. I'd lost a lot of strength. I didn't have any definition. I just felt kind of blah. My core was a mess. And in 2020, we started our Fit from Home program really by accident because of COVID. And we started doing our training. Andy started programming with just basic home equipment, and it's really transformed our lives. Like as we were doing these workouts, we're like, oh my gosh, this is like something. For the first time in our lives, he and I both felt like we didn't have to fight the scale or always be like, oh, is my weight up? I need to strip it back down in my diet and work out a little more. It became less about burning calories and more about building a strong, healthy body. We repaired our metabolism. My hormones felt more balanced. I wasn't fighting the scale anymore. And it's not about doing an intense workout class or going to a intense workout thing that you have to make it this big thing. It can really be done from home, but it's about the program that you're following. And Andy is a master programmer. So he's designed this in a way that you're getting everything you need in those 3 workouts a week. And it's a progressive program. So it's progressively overloading your muscles. So we're fighting for that lean mass. Like I said, we're fighting and we're getting it back. Okay. But we're also including things like mobility and warm up and stretching, because a lot of women are jumping into stuff and then they're getting injured. Oh, my knee, my hip, my ankle, I have tendonitis. I can't, and then you're not doing anything, right? And you're feeling really defeated. So there also needs to be a lot of expertise and intention in the way that you're adding in your workouts, which is the big benefit of a progressive program where you're entering at the level that you need and then progressing. And another thing that we incorporate that is often missed is changing up your workout style. So keep your body guessing and progressing. If you are doing the same workouts over again or just getting out your app and like picking your favorite workouts that you like, it might not be what your body actually needs to keep seeing progress. Your body adapts to those things and then you kind of hit these walls. We change up our workout style every single workout. Some are like a little more cardio, more strength, different styles, so that your body is constantly challenged in different ways. And this allows you to keep seeing progress. So just like I mentioned with nutrition, where you're trying to piece together all these tips and tricks from the internet, a lot of people are doing that with their workouts. They're just pulling up random reels online. They're just pulling up random YouTube videos. I did this for a while several years ago, and I'm like, this is too easy. Is this too hard? And you're just kind of checking a box, right? Like, oh, I got my workout in, or I went to the gym, got my workout in. But when you actually follow a program and the mindset is like, I'm investing in the strong, healthy body that I want to have, that changes everything. You show up in a different way for yourself. You challenge yourself in a different way. And then your body starts responding. And within a couple of weeks, you notice, oh, my back doesn't hurt because I'm doing it in the right way. Oh, I have more strength. I'm noticing changes in my body and differences in the way my clothes fit. And this is when we start really seeing inches lost all over your body. And when done in combination with a diet that is helping you burn fat and support lean mass gains, a lot of women are exercising, but they're not actually building muscle because they're not eating in the right way to support that. Then you start noticing, oh my gosh, I lost 3-4 inches in my waist and I'm getting rid of the belly fat. Yay, right? So this is the magic combination that we find works super well for these women. And again, helps you to start believe in your body again. And that's what we really want to help you do. So hopefully you guys are feeling like you have some clarity now and also some empowerment. Like, okay, I can do something about this and I can actually start shifting my body composition, and maybe what I thought I was doing before isn't working. So when women say to me, like, I've tried all the things, I usually would say to them, like, if you haven't tried our method, I don't feel like you've tried all the things, because what we do is like unlike anything that most people are doing. And the way we bring it together is extremely effective. So this is the way that women are calling me. Like, I want to give an example of Rachel, someone who did our program when we first created it. She called me sobbing on the phone, and she's like, I just went to my doctor. They didn't know what was wrong with me. I'm gaining weight. I used to be a fitness instructor. I can't change my body composition at all. And like, they won't give me help with supplements. Is it my hormones? And I'm like, listen, I got you. She goes through our program. She lost 17 pounds in 12 weeks. She's now lost over almost 30 pounds and still doing our workouts, shifting her body composition. But what happened was not just the weight loss. She now believes in her body again and has transformed the way she lives her life. And that's what we really help you do. Wendy is another one who's gone through our program. Her doctor told her to her face, you will not be able to lose weight, because she'd done everything. 5 years, she couldn't lose a single pound. Weight Watchers, Noom, personal trainer, working out almost every single day, Peloton, restrictive eating. She actually contacted me because her gut was a mess. And she's like, listen, I don't even believe I can lose weight. So I'm not even worried about that anymore. I just want to feel better. And I want like less anxiety. And I want to get rid of reflux and stuff. But within the matter of a couple of weeks, the scale was moving. Now after it's been about a year since she's been in our program and still working with us, she's down 30 pounds, lost 6 inches in her belly, and again, transformed the way she feels. She's like, I have so much less anxiety. I would normally be so stressed out by X, Y, and Z that's happening in my life, but I just feel calm and in control. But what again happened? She believes in her body again. She doesn't play the victim of hormones, hormones, hormones. She's like, I have power over this. Heather, who came to us, she had lots of blood sugar crashes, emergency eating situations, cravings. She hadn't really changed anything, but she gained almost 40 pounds in the matter of a couple of years. So she's like, something's off with my body. Her doctor actually referred her to our program, which we have several doctors who send their patients to us because we get them results. And, within the matter of 12 weeks, she actually lost 28 pounds. She felt so much better. She had more strength. Blood sugar felt balanced. She's like, I didn't even know I was dealing with insulin resistance. Like, nobody talked to me about this. And so again, she started having confidence in her body again. Erica, we got her off birth control. She hadn't been able to lose a single pound. She worked with another dietitian. She'd worked with her doctors. She was going to an endocrinologist. She had thyroid issues. She's like, I really don't think this is going to work for me. But then in the course of our program, we got her off birth control that she'd been on to balance her hormones. We got her off of that. She had more energy, less anxiety. She lost over 10 pounds just in those 12 weeks. Again, couldn't move the scale at all before and lost inches all over her body, but started believing in her body again. So I could give you so many more examples. And there's more on our webpage if you want to look at them and read some of the testimonials, but we're doing so much more than just getting weight off. We're setting you up for life, and we're rebuilding your strong, healthy body. We're getting to the root cause of what's going on with a scientific understanding of these are the natural shifts that are happening. So it just makes sense. Let's make these shifts, X, Y, and Z, in your diet and lifestyle, and then you're going to feel better and lose weight. So many women come to us, honestly, not believing that this method is going to work for them. April's another one that comes to my mind. She didn't even take initial pictures. We like people to take pictures at the beginning. She's like, I didn't think this was going to work for me. I didn't even bother taking the measurements and stuff. And she lost almost 20 pounds in 12 weeks. She had worked with a functional medicine doctor, done all the cleanses. She was doing a strength training program, following somebody online. But once she brought together our program, she started seeing progress in her body, having more energy, less anxiety. This method absolutely works because it is not just us throwing quick fixes at you. We're actually targeting the root cause. So this program is for you if you want to be a healthy person. You're not looking for a medication or a big cleanse or supplement routine or something that's not sustainable, but you've noticed that despite eating healthy and exercising or trying to lose weight, I don't feel well and I can't move the scale. Okay. Maybe I am suspecting that it's my hormones. And I've been asking myself that question. Should I get my labs tested? Should I get my hormones tested? I'm gaining weight in my belly. Like, it seems hormonal based on what everyone is saying. But yes, that's a factor, but you have a lot of power over that. Maybe you just don't look and feel the way you want to feel. And we have some women who do our program and they don't even have a ton of weight to lose, but they're like, I just don't feel like me anymore. I don't feel like I have energy. I don't feel healthy and vibrant. I notice my body just looks and feels different. And I want to be peak optimal health because guess what? I plan on being vibrant and healthy for many, many years to come. Okay. So maybe you're exercising, you're not seeing changes. There is a way to bring all the things together so that you are seeing progress even after a short period of time. I wrote this in one of our emails, but I thought it was so funny. Just the other day, I had a client that met with me, and she had only been following a program for a couple weeks. And she said, I thought my scale was broken. I went and got another scale because I thought there was a problem with it, because she had already lost 6 pounds after months and months and months of making nutrition changes on her own and exercising, and hadn't seen any progress. And within a week and a half, she'd already lost 6 pounds following our method. Why? Because we now freed up her body to start losing fat in a way that she'd never done before. Okay. So our Fit and Healthy for Life program really is the solution that you've been looking for. And I love when women say that to me. They're like, this is what I've been looking for, but I didn't really know how to find it. But it's bringing together the fitness component that you need, where you're getting 3 follow along workouts per week. So we're not making you bust your butt at the gym every day or overtrain or anything like that, but it's very intentional in the way that we're training. So you're doing 3 follow along workouts, and but you're getting expert coaching. So it's not just a video of us with a bunch of music and watching us work out. You're actually getting coaching from Andy, who has worked one-on-one. He's not just some guy who likes working out that decided to put a program together. He is an expert in his field and just puts together 3 brand new workouts every single week that, one, keep it interesting for you and mentally in the game so you don't get bored, but 2, it's giving your body exactly what you need. So we even have a beginner series and an intermediate series. So if you're not quite ready for more advanced classes, rather than jumping into something where you're going to feel defeated and get injured, or if you have old injuries and need to rehab some of those, we start you out at our beginner series, and it's progressive and it's going to build you up in a very intentional way. With nutrition, I'm taking the guesswork out of it. I'm taking out the willpower and the miserable feelings that are surrounded with diets, and I'm teaching you the framework of how to feed your body, what you actually need, and giving you very real life examples that are quick and easy. I hate more than anything when people buy these meal plans and it's like different recipes every single day. I don't know about you, I'm not making 3 different recipes every single day. I'm lucky if I make, with our busy life, like 1 actual recipe. It's usually more about the right balance, okay? And this can even be something that's applied to your family, or something that you don't have to eat completely separate meals. You might just shift the way you're portioning your meals, and that's going to be enough to shift your body composition. So in our perimenopause diet, we're teaching you the core method, and we spend a whole week going over each component, making sure you're feeling really solid in that, and it's helping you build that strong and healthy foundation. So this program is not just a diet, it's not just a workout plan, but you're actually getting a community of people who are in the same place as you. And you realize, okay, I'm not alone in this. I'm not the only person who's been struggling. And there's a lot of encouragement and support. So we have weekly group coaching calls where you're on a live Zoom call with me and Andy and everyone else in the program. And we have 2 call time options. You can come to either one, but this is giving you a sense of accountability, but support more than accountability. We're not just trying to hold you to a standard you don't want to do, but supporting you in the process, coaching you. If you're not seeing progress, rather than feeling frustrated and giving up, I can look at exactly what you're doing and say, okay, I know why you're not seeing progress. Here's the adjustments I want you to make. Go do it. And then next week, okay, the scale's moving again. I'm feeling better again, right? So this is real life. In 12 weeks, you're going to go on vacations. You're going to have kids' sports. Everyone likes to wait till they don't have anything going on, but really there's always stuff going on in your life. So we actually teach you how to implement this method in real time. And that way you're set up for life. You've experienced holidays in different situations, and you're feeling really confident in yourself that, hey, I can do this consistently. It's not an on again, off again type of thing. And there's a lot of mindset reframing that happens in this program too. Every week I put together pre-recorded lifestyle modules, which are great for you because you can watch them on your own time, but it's going to go over my core method, but then also the lifestyle habits that often impact things like hormone balance and how you're feeling, like sleep and stress and hydration, how to fuel yourself with exercise, gut health, mental wellness, mindful eating strategies. All these things we get into so that every week you're like, okay, new goal to work on, new thing to work on. And then we're helping you build that solid foundation for health in your body. So you're not just losing pounds, but you're building a strong, confident, healthy body for life. We have the workouts that I've mentioned. You'll have access to our Fit from Home program where you're getting those 3 brand new workouts a week. We have an online portal where you can access these. We have an app that all the workouts are housed in. We have almost 300 on-demand workouts, but Andy puts out 3 new workouts every single week. So you'll have access to all of those. We also have time crunch workouts and upper body splits, rehab stuff. So it's an extremely comprehensive program, not just cherry picking workouts, but you can actually follow the program and see results faster. And then one of the unique things that I do for everyone in the program before you even start is I have you fill out a pretty in-depth nutrition and health assessment with a symptoms questionnaire. You can put your supplements that you're currently taking on there and your medications, and I will review every single person's and I give you feedback on that. Like, hey, I noticed you mentioned these symptoms. I think it's caused by this. Here's my recommendations to help get the inflammation down, or this is what I think is going on in your body. And if there's any supplements I think would be helpful, I will review what you're currently taking and make adjustments as needed. But that's a nice way for you to get started with some customization in the program as well. And then of course, on the calls each week, you'll have an opportunity to talk about your own situation and ask any questions. So we put this program together. It's very comprehensive. We do include like additional meal plans and meal ideas. I actually start you with what's called a simple balanced meals sheet that just shows you very easily like, hey, here's the meals you can put together that don't really require a lot of cooking, but it can still kind of help you meet the meal patterning and make you feel full and satisfied. The number one thing that women say is like, I actually feel like I'm eating more food than I ever have, and I'm full, and I'm struggling to almost finish my meals, but I'm losing weight. And this is just like such a backwards thing to think about, right? Because we've all grown up like eat less, restrict your body, and that's what's going to make you lose weight, and it should feel miserable, but you can actually lose weight in a way that makes you feel really good. And I think that's what we're all kind of looking for. When you get in tune with your blood sugar and what your body actually needs, you start feeling really well, and you don't ever want to go back. You don't ever want to go back to feeling the way that you were before. So rather than just piecing together workouts and tips and tricks that you hear on the internet and kind of like trying to figure it out on your own, like we have all the scientific basis that we've put together in a very approachable, easy to implement program that's going to help you not just lose weight right now and feel better and lose inches, but to lose weight for good. And we really focus on shifting body composition where we're losing fat and gaining muscle. I'm not in the business of just like, let's see the scale move as fast as possible. And this is something we have to coach people through constantly because we're so trained to think that the scale drives our life. But when you are experiencing body comp shifts, you're losing fat and gaining muscle, you are going to lose weight in a steady, healthy rate, but you are going to lose inches. And that's when it's like, I've literally had people who are like, my scale did not change, but I've lost 3 inches in my stomach over the last few weeks, which is mind-boggling. But that means you've lost that visceral fat and you've gained lean muscle, which is perfect because that's setting you up for success in the future. And you're losing clothing sizes too. So you'll see the scale move, but in the way that's very healthy and sustainable. So instead of wasting your time and money on methods that don't work, I have a great example I was thinking of. There's a girl in our program right now named Sam, and she contacted us like 2 years ago and was asking about our fitness program and about Fit and Healthy for Life and how much it costs. And she's like, okay, I think I need to go see a functional medicine doctor because, you know, I really just can't lose weight and I have all these other symptoms. And finally, 2 years later, she came back to us and was like, okay, I went that route, did all the cleanses and supplements and testing, and I feel a little better, but I didn't really lose any weight. I didn't get the help that I needed, that I was hoping for with the nutrition. Within a matter of a couple of weeks in our program, after not being able to see the scale move for 2 years, she already is down. Well, last I checked, which was like maybe a week ago, she's already down like 8 pounds, right? Just from making those shifts within a couple of weeks. So a lot of people think because of the way you feel, you need like more testing and more diagnoses, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes you need to just correct your baseline health. And then we can assess if you need more testing, if there's really an issue going on. And that's something that I can help kind of guide you in if we get to that point. But for most women, just correcting your baseline health is exactly what you need and understanding the shifts that are happening in your body. Okay. So we would love to have you join this program if you feel like this would be a great fit for you and this is what you've been looking for. We have amazing success with our clients and we love helping people. We are here for you guys. We want you to succeed. We've put this program together because we know that no one else is doing anything like this. This is exactly what you need in this phase of life, and it's going to help set you up for success long-term. And we often say like the 12 weeks is just the beginning. And we do have people who stay in the program longer. You can do 6 months, you can do 9 months, you can do a year, but this is just the beginning for you to then continue losing weight after our program. So most people lose weight in the program and then they keep losing weight after the program. And that's our goal, that you keep seeing success. So this is just the beginning for you. And this program is a rolling admission. So we are offering, for anyone who attends our masterclass, you do have the opportunity to take advantage of $150 off. And we have the details of that that'll be coming to you in an email afterwards if you want to take advantage of that. Make sure you get signed up, but you can start after you sign up. So we like to give you a little bit of time to get the pre-work done. But we start all our weeks on Sundays, and that would be your official week 1. When you get into the content, you'd come to the first coaching call. But this is an opportunity for you to finally just take care of this, right? To stop feeling like you're lost and don't have direction, and to really start building a solid foundation. So if this is a definite yes for you, then you can send us an email. So you can reply to any of our emails that come to you. It comes directly to us. We'll get back to you with any questions. There's going to be an opportunity in your emails to book a coaching call, or just like a discovery call with me. And I can just, 10, 15 minutes, and I can answer any questions that you have if you're not sure if this is the right fit for you. And we have all the details about the program that will be coming to you in an email. But this is the solution that you've been looking for, and we're here for you guys. And this is really the time. A lot of times people want to wait, like, oh, I have to wait till this is over, this is done, or this is just a bad time. But this is life. And the best thing you can do is learn how to navigate each situation as a healthy person. And that's going to help set you up for success long term. So hopefully today you've gotten new information that's just like empowering to you. And through some of the stories that I've told, it's like, okay, this is possible for me. And this is absolutely possible for you. I don't want you to keep believing that there's something wrong with your body, or you have all these problems and you need something more specialized. This is highly specific and highly effective when we implement these solutions in the correct way, that is going to transform your body and help you become that healthy person that you have been looking for. So we're so excited to help you. Thank you so much for coming today. If you guys have questions, you can throw them in the chat box, or you can reply to any of our emails. We'd love to talk with you more and get you signed up for this amazing program. All right, I'll see you soon.